All right. Welcome, everybody, to Friday. You made it. We haven't done a Friday one for a little while because not last week. I guess it was last week. I was at IASIS down in Florida. Since I got a little bit of a tan, I look, semi-human, not white as that piece of paper laying on my desk here. But literally, I spent I don't know. It was just a few hours in the sun. I was like beet red. It looked like I was lobster boiled. It was ridiculous. But it was good, man. That training event down there is always amazing. Down at IASIS down in Orlando, Florida. And normally we grab one of the parks on the weekends or something, but this year we didn't do any of that. We did kind of the shopping thing, I guess. Which I did get some cool Legos. That made me happy. Yes, I'm a child. It was nice. Made me happy. But regardless, so big thanks to Gene, Brett, all the crew down there, Zubin, everyone down at IASIS for always having us down there. We love going down there. If you saw our broadcast, if not, they're in the YouTube channel. I didn't include them in the audio only version because sometimes they'd run like just 15 minutes or something like that, and maybe I'll throw them over to the audio only version. I just haven't yet. But regardless, if you want to watch those, great talk from Gene. Was a good conversation there. Of course, I had a conversation with Matt. I had a few good ones. So always fun down there. I don't have a sponsor today. I don't have anything happening because it's Friday. First off, where is everybody listening from? Where you guys at? I know it's been a couple weeks since we had done the regularly scheduled Friday edition of this, just because of all the travel that was involved, and I drove down. That was the crazy thing here. Yeah, Megan's obviously in humid Ohio, right? So yeah, oops, my chat's off just a smidge here. Let me see if I can fix this real quick, because I always have to move it around a little bit. There we go. That's not so bad. From when I'm on the roadshow version of this versus the live version of this. So there it is. It's OHIO. That's the way Megan had it. Yay, technology. Yeah. So Trenton, New Jersey is where Edward's at. Very cool. So you guys got all over the place. Yes, I'm brave. I'm doing this live. That's why I got a 15-second delay. So hopefully I can jet out before you guys do something crazy. So far, you guys haven't, which is always good. I appreciate it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce my guest. You should know who he is. Been on the show quite a few times. Been on the live version of the show, or the show version of the show, if that's such a thing, when we're at events, things like that. My friend Justin Tolman. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing well. I also I was at IASIS a different week, so I got back last Friday.
Yes. You were, I think, the group right after me, because I think I saw Dan.
Oh yeah, because he got in there earlier. I didn't arrive till like midnight on Monday. So,
yeah, I was already long asleep at that point.
If you arrive late and you have a team, they set up the booth, so then you just have to show up.
I am my team. Well, I actually recruited my whole family, so
there you go.
We were all in there. What was it, Tuesday night, setting the booth up.
Nice.
We switched to. I don't take all this stuff no more. All the big mics and stuff that you've seen before. It's just I take here. I'm going to show you. We're going to nerd out a little bit before we start talking about something like useful to people. So hold on, I'm going to grab this.
While you're digging that out, my Shure mic and a new mixer should be arriving today or tomorrow. So I'm also upgrading, and I'm not even that bad. I got a Rode right now, but
Rode's pretty good quality. I like Rode.
But yeah,
I like Rode mics. I like the Shure brand. Obviously I like those. And then Sennheiser is still my favorite. Still my favorite quality. But I got these little guys right here. They're Ceramonics, and it's the Ultra. So you've probably seen the DJI mics, and then the Rode has a version as well. Yeah. So if those two had a baby, it'd be this. It'd be this. And these guys, obviously, I paid for this in full. This is not sponsored by them in any way. But man, these things are amazing. Little things. They record right on here as well. Wow. So as soon as you pull it out of there, this one's not set to do that. That way you have backup audio, and you just plug it in and download it. And what I really like is obviously I'm a Mac guy. Are you a Mac guy or you're a Windows guy, right?
I'm mostly Windows, although I do have a Mac Mini now.
Oh, look at that. So you could use this on your Windows though. So I didn't want to get one of those a stupid headphone jack and plug into here and then
Hmm.
plug in. So this comes with a little USB C or an iPhone attachment, and it snaps right onto the bottom of this thing. Hold on, let me see if I can do this. And then it twists, and then there. So now I can just plug it in to the side of the Mac, and it acts as a sound card here too.
That's cool.
So it pulls in both microphones, audio from it, and I'm like, I don't have to take that big mixer board around with me, you know.
Yeah.
But I still like using it here though.
Yeah.
It
No, that's awesome.
is a heck of a
Awesome.
lot better. But yeah, I mean, if you guys are thinking about doing a podcast, I highly recommend the Ceramonic one. They're actually less expensive than the other ones too. So, but yeah, I'm gonna have these down in Techno too, because if they get stolen, I won't cry.
I'll
That's the
check
main
them out
thing.
when I'm down there because I have a, I don't know, it's over here now, a travel podcast recording kit, but I have a set of 4 mics, and so
Hmm.
having something smaller like that would be nice because right now this
Yeah,
Pelican case is massive.
it is. And my biggest thing is it costs $1 bazillion to ship it
Yeah.
when we do have to ship. But these don't have to. And I don't know. Remind me at Techno, and I'll show you that we have these little for these little guys. There's a
Hmm.
microphone handle that these just slide on and snap on, and then there's a foam thing that goes over top, and it looks like a regular mic that you
That's
can hold out of these little guys, which is
that's
insane.
yeah.
But yeah,
Oh man, that's cool.
I'm nerded out. Anyway, no one else is probably nerded out by that. So sorry you had to everyone sit through that.
Nah, somebody will do forensics on it, figure out what it stores since it's storing data locally. Somebody will have to break it down.
Oh
So
yeah, there's memory in that thing. So
there you go. Cyber Social Hub, Cyber Sleuth Show Challenge, right there. First person to break it gets an episode or something.
there you go. There you go.
Breaking it
Get
down.
free swag. Literally my desk is cluttered. I'm getting ready for Technos here in what 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that.
Uh, yeah, first week of June.
And so I, well, IASIS being down there, it's just like you get attacked the first day and all your swag's gone.
Oh yeah,
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 that's what happened to me. All my swag is gone. So I'm in the
yeah.
process of making more right now.
Nice, perfect.
Very cool. I was gonna wear my Xtero shirt. I saw it in my closet this morning when you gave me it. I think last year's Techno.
Yeah, I think so.
Love that shirt, but it's like 80 degrees here today. I'm like, no,
And
not wearing.
humid apparently.
Yeah,
So
yeah, not
yeah,
wearing long sleeve.
yeah. No, I understand. I understand. So
Yeah. So what have you been up to, sir? What's new and improved at Xtero?
we've been working on a lot of things, but I've been running around talking with people. We've been focused on some new features and like for our mobile offerings, especially for enterprise people. But and then over the last couple months, we've been working on collaborative features, hence the name of this podcast for sure. But a lot of stuff going on, just a lot of stuff. And back in January, we ran all-day conference called Xtero Inform.
Really?
Um, and by all day, I literally mean it was an all-day virtual conference. So we started at, I believe it was 11 p.m. my time. I can't remember what day. Let's call it Wednesday. And it ended at 3. I got to do the time. It ended at 2 p.m. Thursday, my time. And we just had back-to-back speakers starting basically some Indian from India speakers and then some European speakers. And it just kind of marched across into the U.S. And we had a great time, great turnout, and be looking here in about 2-3 weeks, hopefully by Techno, but definitely in June. We have a magazine that's coming out that's associated with that,
Really?
community-led content. Yep. So all the webinars will have like a synopsis and stuff in the magazine, but linking back to the on-demand video on our website. And then we also got about 10 community writers, CISOs, investigators, community people like Kevin Hendricks and stuff that wrote articles for it. So next month that's coming out. And so that's been taking up a lot of my time. So building those things and just kind of being around. So
Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm having some echo issues, and I kind of warned you ahead of time that we might have those. Hence, I can't find my little earbud speakers or my headphones. I'm a little upset about that. Hope I didn't leave them down at
somebody
ISIS. That
stole him
would
his swag. I'm telling you.
What's that?
Somebody stole him his swag. I'm telling you.
Yeah, probably so. So I'm going to keep your volume really low, and try to keep my mic volume a little low as well, so we don't get the echo from my speakers, because I cannot get them to come through here no matter what. These are just for show right now. They're just like, yeah, hanging out. So,
Technology, So
so the title of the podcast is kind of, breaking down that between lab and investigator. And I know I messaged you, what was it, on Monday or something like that, and
yeah,
like, hey, we wouldn't talk about on Friday.
yeah,
uh, and I actually loved this title because it's something. It's one of our missions, obviously here at Cyber Social Hub as well, is to kind of try to break down that information and communication between investigations, the lab, everything else. Or we take a bigger aspect on the other side of the company as well. So I loved the title. So can you, and again, not to put you on the spot here, is what do you see as the biggest, divide with that information between the lab and an investigator?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Just backing up a little bit on what I see is anybody who's seen my stuff. I'm a former examiner out of Ohio, and it's like, not to date myself, I guess, but that was kind of pre-portable case meta. At least it was before it was big. I had never really it's interesting because the only time we ever really shipped out like a Celebrate Reader report to someone was if we didn't find anything, and then they were just like, all right, well, can I just have the data in case I have more questions? And we'd be like, yeah, sure, here it is, and I think that kind of evolved due to backlogs where you had these portable cases where examiners were so far backlogged and they would just dump and ship, rip and report, depending on, who you are and what phrase you use. And I think the divide started to happen during that time maybe out of necessity, but I do think some of it evolved out of convenience, where it was just easier if Detective DeLong came to my lab. I could just image his laptop or dump his phone, give him these portable cases, and forget about Detective DeLong and ship it. And I think that accelerated kind of this, push button mentality that I say that many in the industry kind of cringe at and try to avoid, where it's like, oh, forensics is just becoming this kind of push a button, get a result, move on type thing. And I think portable cases, and if anybody's branded the name portable case, I'm not referring to any specific brand. I think we'll refer to it as the genre of portable case accelerated that momentum to that push button thing, and collaboration kind of went away. We kind of treated portable cases as a fire and forget, right? Like I gave DeLong his case information. I'm on to extracting the next one. And I'm not saying this is the normal, but I've talked to a lot of people that consider themselves forensic experts, but literally all they do is image, ship, dump phone, ship. And you could make the argument that imaging and dumping a phone is the most important part to do forensically because everything rests on it. But it's difficult for me to wrap my head around that is a true forensic examiner, at its core. And I think that's where we need to, as an industry, work to fix that, increasing communication, increasing training. And there's where that divide lies, is we're treating portable cases a lot like a fire and forget.
Yeah. And do you think that some of that is just from the volume of work. I mean, I'm thinking back as you were talking, and honestly, I don't know of a time that we didn't have that problem. I remember early on that the first automated. I can't remember the name of the tool, but you could go to Best Buy and get it. Um, you know, and you could go to Best Buy and get it, and it kind of automated your work. It would show SMS, show things like that. And I think that was the start of that whole craziness. But and I think it's needed to a degree. But how do we? I guess if you had the answer, you'd be a really rich man right now. But how do we? What steps do we need to take to kind of eliminate some
It,
of that?
yeah, it's interesting because a lot of agencies, whether either some big federal ones, even state and local, have these policies already that if I give Detective DeLong a portable case, he's supposed to you're supposed to bookmark and or find what you want, then bring it back. And that was kind of, not to be a shill, but that was kind of the design of the original FTK portable case
Hmm.
was I'm giving you this, and then the main thing it was designed around was to sync back into FTK. All your bookmarks and all your stuff would sync back into the main interface of FTK, so that I, as the examiner, could integrate that with all the other stuff. Um, but I think, to your point, that never really happened, and it's two sided because one, the load on the examiner is heavy. But again, to your point, it's always been. I remember when I worked at BCI, there was never no folders on my desk, you know,
Right.
and at least in the office I was in, we had. Now somebody's going to yell at me, but we had one, two, three, four, five examiners in there, and I think we got our backlog down to, we were, from submission to report sent out, it was like 30 days, which is pretty good.
That's
Uh, you know,
that's really good.
yeah. But there was five of us all churning on those cases coming in, and but that's not really good enough now, or maybe not, right? Where they're just like, hey, just give the investigator his stuff, he's going to find the text messages. And they're not bringing it back. The investigator's not bringing it back. He found the text messages. She found the call log. She found the, whatever, the CSAM,
Hmm.
and they're indicting and or getting a plead and moving on. I talked to one investigator, and that was the thing, mentioning the push button thing. He's like, hey, if I can crush out a portable case and they can find 10 pictures of CSAM, like, the case is over. Like, rarely ever will it go past that. And so I think the justice system as it stands now and the way that they're approaching things also enable this kind of workflow. Um, so yeah, uh, I think one of the struggles that people face is, especially examiners, there's this fear that if they put any work into it, the detective's not really going to use it. Um, so that's why we're just, a lot of examiners just pump everything out. And it's interesting because what I hear a lot is, well, why don't you just give Kevin the pictures, right? It's a CSAM case, just ship out the multimedia. Well, and this is the response every single time. I don't want to miss anything. Well, yeah, but you're not looking at the portable case. Like, it's sitting in FTK or whatever. Like, you're just shipping out whatever. And I think a lot of it is that. And again, so the first thing that we built our portable case around was the sync back, right?
Hmm.
That people, turned out they don't even use on any software, not just ours. Like, they're just like, I'm not going to sync that back because I don't bring it back. But the other thing that we built it around is, I feel like, even it probably originally in the industry, portable case was never meant to be a replacement for the full forensic suite of software,
Right.
right? But that's how it's treated, where you bring me in a hard drive or whatever, a phone, and I just push button extract, create a reader report, a portable case, whatever, and hand it back. And you're giving a 1 terabyte portable case to somebody who's running on a corporate Dell with half a dozen security features and 500 megabytes of RAM, and it won't open. And but I think the industry's kind of started to use portable case in a way it was never designed. And that's, again, I look at the way we approached our portable case. Nobody's using it this way. They still do the standard rip and report, but the original design was, hey, it's a CSAM case, so I'm going to give Kevin the pictures and videos and maybe the web history. And I know there's more stuff, but like, so now instead of dumping a 2 terabyte drive into a portable case, I'm giving him only the stuff that he wants to review. And we don't see that very often because people like me, people like you, we think like examiners, and we're like, well, we don't want to miss anything. Well, that detective's not going to know how to, I don't want to whatever, but the investigator you're shipping a portable case to probably isn't going to know how to decrypt a DLL file to see if it was malicious and pulling down whatever. They're never going to look at that. But yet we're going to include, 20 gigabytes of DLLs and EXEs in this portable case that they will never look at. They wouldn't even know what to look at, even if they did.
Mm-hmm.
And now they can't open the portable case, or the prosecutor can't review the data because you've included stuff that doesn't matter. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more of a, how do we retrain examiners to, maybe that first round is more of a, I don't know, I want to call it a triage, but that more basic look where they're just getting data back, and if the investigator comes back, and again, there may be some training on the investigator side to realize capabilities, and then if they need more, then come back, and now you can do that I'm not missing anything type dig, if it's needed, because you've done probably a bazillion CSAM cases when you were doing cases, and man, sometimes you don't even need all the stinking images to get it done. It's like you stop at a couple hundred. It's like, man, this guy's got thousands of these things.
Yeah,
and you only need a couple hundred because you're only going to charge a few anyway. And if you're lucky, you take it federal and really get it good.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the thing. Is it is training. It is a mentality change of being willing to come back or whatever. But that's the thing, is even when I think back to me as an examiner, I mean, if we're honest with ourselves, which is tough, the vast majority of the cases that we worked, even though like you and I could go into the hex and decode that deleted data and maybe bring back a carved file manually or whatever, like we know all that junk. Think about how many cases you actually do that on. I mean, the vast majority of cases, and I don't want to minimize anybody's work, I've been there, like I'm speaking from experience. The vast majority of cases are person did thing, read chats to find person talking about thing, to find co-conspirators, or look for pictures that depict certain thing. And so at the end of the day, the vast majority of the time, you are only doing that top level review. And that's where your evidence is, right? And I think especially when we start to collaborate, and that's what portable case is, whether we would like to think so or not. It's kind of broken in that we don't treat it that way, but portable case is designed as an offline collaborative solution, right? The examiner doesn't have the time to work 600 cases, so I'm going to distribute the load. The other thing that really sold portable case to me, at least the idea of portable case, and even to this day, even the way that it's being used, is a little story about my time at Ohio. Is I'm from Washington State, and I moved out to Indiana to get my master's at Purdue, and then got a job in Ohio. And I moved to Ohio 3 or 4 days before I started at BCI. So my knowledge of Ohio was the drive from Purdue to Ohio, and then mapping out my drive from my apartment to the office that was right up the freeway, So the idea, and then I would start helping maybe Detective DeLong from Lima, his case. Well, I don't know anything about Ohio. I don't know anything about your area. I don't know this stuff. And so Megan's throwing shade.
It is pretty boring unless you like cornfields and
Well,
there's a whole lot of nothing out there. I prefer
I come
it.
from a very agrarian area, so it fit. My wife and I loved Ohio. It was just too far away from family. So by using the portable case collaboration offline, you actually do get a lot more out of the case because Kevin knows the area. He might see a picture of a red car, even though he told Justin to look for a white car, but he knows that red car is the perp's mom, right? And why would she be over there? Well, maybe he drove her car, right? There's context and there's insight that a detective can add to the case through portable case. And where if you come back, then you can say, hey, I found this red car. It's the mom's. Is there any other data that might, is there deleted data, or is there what you can start to build the narrative that is around these things, something that a detective might not know how to do, especially if it gets into files like documents and pictures and videos where you might want link files that indicate that it's open. I don't know how many non-forensic detectives know that they can look at a link file or a jump list or an MRU or to be like, hey, not only was this picture on here, they opened it 4 times based on these records at these times. So if they come in and say, I don't know where that came from, I didn't open it. Well, you opened it 4 times, or if it came from a jump drive or something was opened on a jump drive that they didn't have. That's where that collaboration can come in, is the detective can look at the top level content, and then he can come back or she can come back and say, build this narrative that supports all this evidence to close down alibis. One of the early things that was taught to me about the role of forensic examination is you're an alibi maker and alibi breaker. You're rarely ever the star of the show. You can be. I'm not going to take that away. But a lot of times the detective or the investigator, the case has evidence to support a thing or maybe to disprove a thing. And you are looking to see if the truth of your digital stuff matches that. And working together with like something like portable case, you can do that effectively. And I think, for people who, like, I came up through I'll call it a civilian track, bachelor's degree in computer information technology, master's in cyber forensics, then into forensics. I nerded out. I loved the low level stuff. I'm happy to give you just looking through pictures and chats, and you call me up and say, hey, look through the stuff I don't want to look through to build the narrative of supporting that. And so it kind of gives examiners what they want, investigators get what they want. And then, like you said, of course, maybe the investigator goes through, finds the 100 pictures of CSAM, can see that they're in a place that the user put it, goes to the prosecutor. Prosecutor's like, this is good enough. We'll go get them to plea or whatever. That's not going to go away. That happened back in our day. It was just a less portable case and more just us calling them and saying, how much do you want?
Right. 100%. Now, with that, I found it interesting. I'm going to let you know in the background here, Keith Lockhart is giving you some grief. So just, you can't see it here. He's actually texting me. So not you as much as, no, you.
Right. I probably deserve it.
That's all right.
Tell me he needs to declare himself though before he walks up the wrong sidewalk. He almost got decked at Techno by Dan Sumter. It was a good time. Yeah, that'll be a story for the end of this if we got time.
Are you gonna be at Techno?
I will. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know he's gonna be there as well. So
yeah,
that'll be fun. Okay. Good deal. And again, it's been a while since I've worked with, investigators. Talking non-technical detective type, right? Mm-hmm. And they're really good at their job when it comes to putting together those pieces. How do you think their knowledge, opposed to the CSI effect, has changed over the years when it comes to digital investigations and the information that's available to them? Because you made the point that, they're not going to look at a link drive, right? They're not. But do they even know the types of data that could be available to them? And that's where they can work with that investigator a little bit. Or is that a training issue on, do we just do send them a checklist, say, hey, here's all the stuff you can get. What do you want? Like make a drive-through window, essentially, of forensics. We should start that. We'd probably make money. Anyway, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's not a bad idea. Tell me what you want, and I'll send it out. I think you bring up a great point, because the the CSI effect has kind of had in talking with people a twofold thing. Is first off, um, these detectives, we'll call them not examiners. We'll just make examiners of the people all in, and then everybody else. They know that not everything is possible now, because they're experienced enough to know, hey, I have a decent idea of the stuff that I can get, and a lot of times that stuff is still an overwhelming amount of information, and we can wrap back to that. But I also do think, yeah, like I have a friend here locally who's just getting into forensics, and every time we meet up and chat and hang out, he's talking to you about some new crazy thing he learned that stores information. And it's true, because, like you said, their skills are in taking not just digital evidence, but physical evidence and interviews and scenarios and thinking and putting this whole situation together to actually solve the crime. Um, and that's why, like, yes, we could train them to know the things to ask for, but I do think, like, um yeah, Brett Shaver said a match made in heaven when the examiner knows what the detective needs and the detective knows what the examiner can do. Exactly. And that communication has to be there, though. Like, and I think that's been my concern with the portable case meta right now, is I don't feel like the communication is there, because we just kind of fire and forget, even though, like I mentioned, our portable case isn't designed for that. It's designed to sync back, and it's designed to only, I mean, it'll take everything, but it's designed to be like, hey, here's the chats, or here's the thing, with the expectation that, Brett would come back and say, hey, I found all these pictures. Is there, what else, what can you tell me about the history of these pictures? Or it doesn't seem like they are often asking that question, whether it's because of time. Because I'm not saying the detectives are sitting around waiting for the next case either. They're going through those pictures or those chats, checking off what they can check off, because, they're sitting on a million things they got to do. So, but I do think the check sheet is a funny but possibly thing, like, hey, and that's been one of my things here at Xtero is, we need to be, from a vendor point of view, more helpful in educating people within the software. We're not going to be able to teach people forensics through the software. If I said that, Brett would find where I live effortlessly and come strangle me in my sleep. But I do think there's a lot that we can do as vendors to enable people, like, hey, this is what this means,
Right.
or different things. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to give a quick shout because it kind of relates to Brett's got a book out.
Yeah.
I'm going to mess this title up. Is it the DFIR mindset, something like that?
Yeah.
Hey, look at that. It kind of goes along a little bit with what we're chatting about, at least on the detective side as well as the investigative side. So yeah, I wanted to make sure I got that. I don't think the emojis come through real well.
Face
Yeah,
blue, smiling.
that's right. It's a good attempt. I don't. Yeah, my software apparently does not translate the actual face well. So anyway, yeah. And
I,
go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I do feel that the best solution right now is often cost prohibitive, and that is a SaaS cloud solution. I know a lot of people cringe at that, but it really has again, cost prohibitive, and there's other concerns, but that really has the ability to create almost like a seamless work environment.
Mm-hmm.
You and I can be logged in at the same time, so that as you bookmark, it's not that you have to come back, because that's a big part of it too. I send a portable case out to you, especially in the Ohio BCI dynamic. I mean, the Richfield office where I was at served all of Northern Ohio. I mean, you could drive 3 hours to drop your case off for us to work. You're not going to drive 3 hours to bring back your portable case just to have me look over it and see what. No, it's like, listen, I gotta make do with this. Whereas a cloud-based environment, you're able to, the initial drop off, load it up for review, and then you and I are looking at the same thing. And so you can mark your images, your chats, your files, and I can check in and be like, okay, hey, you've got these things. And then when I go through and add link files or jump lists or kind of build the evidence that supports those things, it's still in the case. And then you can see it. And then almost you're educating them as you work together. And then they know, I'm not saying they're necessarily going to do it, but cops are smart people. They're going to start to learn like, oh, hey, I can look at these link file things that has a little category here in the interface and, start to at least take a look, even if they have to ask you for explanation. But I do think that is, if you're a bigger agency or have the funds, I do think that cloud can help create that seamless collaboration.
Yeah. And I'm surprised that, again, oh, criminy, when I was there, we were looking at cloud and stuff technology. I'm shocked that law enforcement hasn't actually embraced this yet. Um, that's shocking to me because I mean, it's just an everyday life for me now. I mean, that's like, well, like right now, I'm in Ohio, you're in Washington.
Yeah.
We're sitting here having a conversation. That's just kind of the way things roll. With all
I
the security now, like,
yeah,
the CJIS compliance stuff, and then, Amazon's Gov
GovCloud,
Cloud. And I mean, there's a
Azure
million different, yeah, there's a million different secure pieces.
when we work with people, because and we have some creative things coming that I can't talk about, but when we have a very large SaaS offering at Xtero up until they purchased FTK was all SaaS.
Mm-hmm.
And like Brett said here, law enforcement was like a decade behind e-discovery. And it was interesting because when they first bought us, the owners and the executives of Xtero were like, how do we get forensics into the cloud? Right? How do we, because they wanted to be all SaaS. And I see because they wanted to be unified in their stuff. And there's a couple things that are out of any vendor's control. And one of them is inconsistent billing of the cloud. So cities, governments, at least at that level, state government, they want to, like, you buy FTK, you're going to pay X every year to keep
Mm-hmm.
it good.
Yep.
Okay. And so they have this budget. But with cloud, it's hard, at least with proper utilization, to say, okay, I'm going to pay X a month for our cloud. Okay. We were talking to an ICAC unit, and 1 month they brought in 65. They had one case with 64 terabytes of data. And so if you were to try to load that up into the cloud, you're going to have, and I don't remember the month, but February spikes, like super expensive. But they only budgeted, whatever. And so that's a problem out of our control because the states and municipalities don't know how to do that variable budgeting. And that's what we've been told is like, hey, this is the issue. The other issue is people are uploading full images and phone dumps to the cloud. Okay, that's not a problem. You don't pay for upload, but you do pay for storage and you pay if you want to download. But that takes time. I don't know what your internet is. Let's say you went over to the local PD. How long do you think it would take them to say a normal case of 4 terabytes for a CSAM case to upload that into the cloud? A couple days,
Right.
hopefully, And so there's also that where you've now added a couple, you've added a lot of time of latency. And so there's issues there that we've got to solve. E-discovery being in the cloud, I know just a little bit from the other side of the business and having friends and service providers, they just pass that cost on to their customers. It's hard to pass 64 terabytes cost of cloud to the suspect you just put in jail.
Right. Those are awesome fines that'll never be paid.
Yeah. But that having been said, I I don't know when it's the future, but sometime after today, I do think law enforcement is moving in the cloud direction, and I think it brings a lot of benefits. For the topic of this, is that seamless
Mhm.
collaboration. I'm able to work with Detective DeLong so much easier, so much more seamlessly. He doesn't have to worry about the corporate machine that can barely run anything being able to open this portable case. As long as it has a web browser, he can review this case and get the most out of it.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of benefits both in time and in the ability to address the backlogs in the cases that they're facing, you know. So
Yeah, and it is funny because obviously we have another side of the business here, that we sell software to law enforcement. It was actually used in the Lake and Riley case. Our software was, and it's all cloud based, 100% cloud based.
mhm.
And for something like that, they don't have an issue with. But it's when it comes to, I think, just the main hard evidence of stuff and contraband in its nature, maybe is what they're having a problem with. I don't know. I'm guessing. Let's be
So
real.
I'll address that, and then Manny put a comment in
Oh,
I happily would love to talk. But so it's interesting. I was on a panel at ICAC Northwest, not this last time, but I think the time before that. Um, and I apologies to who was on that panel. The only person I remember is Bertram Lyons from uh, Magnet now. And so we got talking about the security aspect of the cloud, uploading CSAM, because that is, man, everybody's kind of just like, ooh. But I brought up, and I'm sure no one listening to this has ever had this happen, where you have sent over, say, a jump drive or a hard drive to a prosecutor or to maybe even another investigator, and then you ask them like, oh, hey, what do you do with those hard drives and jump drives after we give them to you to review data? They're just in a closet in the hallway sitting there. And we had that happen with one of our clients, where that really drove them to our cloud-based review platform. Was they went to their prosecutor's office, and they literally just had a box of hard drives full of CSAM that they had, been delivered to review data before a case, just sitting in a closet with everything, with a whole bunch of other stuff. So when we think of security in the cloud, I I'm I won't say it's more secure, because listen, you can whatever, but it's definitely not less secure. Like, I mean, let's be honest,
Right.
it's probably more secure, but like that's kind of the thing. But we feel like this tangible thing, if I can hold or see the hard drive, it's much more secure. And I just think that we need to let that go. I really believe in the security of the cloud, because even if you broke into a data center, first off, you'd have to know that it was holding the contraband you wanted to get at. And second,
Right.
it's not like they're not rated to who knows what. They're
Yeah.
using
It's
some
all on that one drive right there.
yeah, no, that's not how it works. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna grab every drive in this building and try to no, like, so it's one of those things where I do think you need to follow policy. You need to use the correct technology. But listen, I don't think security is the problem with the cloud. It's going to be it. And with the shared responsibility model of the cloud anyway, if the infrastructure was hacked or whatever, that's not on you. That's literally in the documentation of Azure and AWS in the shared responsibility model, that if something like that were to occur that's not related to your specific software that you're
Yeah.
running in the cloud environment, that's on them. And so they have a vested interest in all their customers of keeping that secure. And at least you can, it's not going to be awesome, but at least you could avoid liability in that. So
Yeah.
uh
Yeah, for sure. And then Manny's comment here, we have to talk about
yeah.
that here.
So Manny said cloud might be good, but I still don't think you're going to beat speeds from bare metal. I'm not going to debate that, because uh especially Manny builds amazing machines. one of these days I want to buy is one that looks like a little loaf of bread, because it's fast and small. But I think, yeah, the aspect I guess we're talking about here though is that collaborative effort that the cloud brings.
Right.
And you're absolutely right. Like, I think just putting in the upload time, even if the bare metal and the cloud were equal, you're taking out the upload time and the costs associated with that, on bare metal processing. But I do think that, again, if you want to work, because the current dynamic now, a lot of the time, even with the small PDs, is one guy in a police department who supports basically all the other police departments around. And this is, in the United States, which probably most of our viewers are from, the average police department size is 20 officers or something, 22, maybe it's up to 40 now. But that includes everybody, right? Not whatever. And so you may have one cyber guy if you're lucky. I know I live in the Tri-Cities, Kennewick, Pasco, Richland. And I know right now one of those cities doesn't even have a guy. So the one city has to utilize the other two to support them. And again, it's a portable case situation because they've got their own loads that they got to deal with. And so it's just like, portable case, here you go. Good luck to you. And
yeah, they should be task forces at that size and join together. I mean, they do it with call centers, right? With
yeah,
with PSAPs. Why not that?
I agree. And so when I talk to these guys, they're all about it. It's not the examiner that doesn't want the task force. It's which city is going to pay for it, how much, and where's it going to be located. It's just the most petty things that end up being the blockers. Because it was like, where is it going to be? Because we want the task force in our town, or we want, whatever, or are we putting in more than and it's just like, guys, we're trying to solve crimes here.
Yep. And then you get, and nothing against the county level, or I think it's mainly the county level, is the election type of the politics side of things. That's where it gets. I take that back. I've seen it on the non-political side as well, where it's still, I don't know what it comes down to. Power, control. I don't know. Don't care. All I want is investigators be able to work together and work together easily. And Manny, there's a business idea for you. Bitmine's cloud. There you go. Problem solved.
To your point about politics, I experienced the positive result of that because DeWine at the time, and I'm not going to speak pro or con, but he ramped up the Crimes Against Children initiative in Ohio when I was looking for a job. And so BCI opened up, we hired 5 new examiners just in the North office in the space of 3 years.
Was that the ICAC here in Ohio, or was it the?
That was just at our cyber lab. I don't know what happened outside of that.
Because I know they anyway.
He dumped a bunch of, but I left Ohio, but it's like the next guy may come in and cut that, or the next, they each have their own initiatives. So that can be like Brett says, if LE created digital forensic task forces like they do SWAT and NARCs, problem solved. and I think so. I don't know why cyber kind of gets the redheaded stepchild treatment, because I've worked felony vandalism. A bunch of high school kids busted into their high school as a senior prank and did a bunch of damage. And guess what? They dropped off at the office, all their phones. There's not a case anymore that it doesn't have some digital aspect to it.
Right. Right. I can't tell if Brett's being joking here or not because he put a couple dots on there. Because
I don't know either,
I was part of organizations that
work.
had shared narcs. I was on SWAT and narcotics both, and it was still a battle. I don't know if he's joking or not. Or it may be case by case. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, narc task forces make money for agencies. DF costs money.
That's true.
And that's true, but as it stands, like the narcs couldn't do their job as well without a digital forensic, because all those guys are going in, they're grabbing phones, and
yep.
without the forensic guys, nothing's coming out of those phones, you
Well,
know.
that's how our lab got started in Lima. I was attached to the narcotics division. I was a narc officer, and then we spun off digital friend. Was we kept finding these things that flip open and said StarTAC on them. We're like, what do we do with these things?
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
funny.
how that
Brett
got
and I
going.
just had that same thought. Put a DF in every narc task force, and that's I was going to say put an embed, just like
Yeah,
the
that's how we
military
started.
has that one dude in the team that's like the specialist on everything.
Yeah,
That's kind of how they need to do it. Is just okay. Hey, every team has the nerd in the rear with the gear. You know.
holy overload of work on that poor person.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like having a medic, right? With your
yeah,
specialized
exactly.
military teams, just yeah, something you got to do.
I think naturally it would evolve into this collaborative effort though, because if
Yeah.
the digital forensic guy was embedded with this unit, with the narc task force or the SWAT team or whatever, he's going to be working as they're going to be working together. Because yes, the digital forensics guy may extract it, but there's a vested interest in a team mentality to look at the data and work with it.
Hmm.
And maybe that's the kind of, and that's outside of vendors or maybe whatever, but that's kind of the mentality I almost think we need to build, whether it's a task force, but just a team mentality where it's like, hey, you know, the I will say, kind of circling back, one of the main issues that we all know is the issue with like saying, hey, you build this, or you review this, I'll review this, is when it comes to court. That's why most people I've talked to avoid collaboration in general. Is okay, Kevin, you found this picture. Yep. Where'd you find it? Well, it was right here in the software. So then they're like, and then Justin, from the lab, he built the narrative around this. And so they call me in, and then I'm like, yep, I did this. And then I got to get off the stand and you come back up to talk about the next picture. And it's just like this, that's kind of their hesitancy to do that, is at least right now, in a weird way, if they reviewed all there's only one guy to put on the stand. Um, and so that's kind of a, you know, interesting dynamic that we've got to figure out how to work around, both from the vendor side and the user.
Yeah, there's got to be a happy in between place because I mean we don't have a huge issue with that. Like I'm trying to find a good comparison to, and we'll just stay on the narcotics thing since that's what we were rolling with. Was just because I found the evidence, I wasn't necessarily the one who tested it or you know did anything else with it. I picked it up out of room A, logged it, took it into room B, logged it with the evidence guy, and I was done with it. Then
Yeah.
eventually I got called. Did you find all these pieces in these locations? Yes. Then I was out. See ya.
Yeah.
I mean, is there something that's similar? I mean, I don't know if there could be something like that or not. It's like, hey, did you acquire this data? Did you do this and then have the investigator? I don't know. It seems like software is the answer, and if software had like a Zoom, like something like we're in right now, imagine we had the forensic software below us, and you're the examiner, I'm the investigator. I'm like, what can we get out of that? Because that's what's important to me, and you get to be having a whole conversation on it. There we go. Future of it.
There you
There's
go.
your there's your Kevin idea that probably will go nowhere, but there it is.
Well, and with a lot of forensic tools now that require internet access, the whole air gapped lab is kind of going away. So I mean, you could do something like that, and it doesn't need to be integrated into the software. You can jump on a call with these people, and but yes, absolutely. So
Yeah, jump on, do a screen share, whatever. Um,
yeah,
and that way you can see, hey, these are the things I'm interested in. What more can we find on that? And I think it's someone needs to just develop, and then it's probably out there. I've just been out of it so long. Is a good protocol to that process. It's like, hey, here's what you do when you have an examiner that's somewhere else, or even in your building, but somewhere else, and how you can communicate with them a little bit better. to that collaboration where you can go through and check the things you want, find the things you want in the case, and then jump on a joint call. Something. There's got to be something to help make it a little bit easier because most of the times, BCI is a great example. Which is, for those of you who don't know, it's Ohio's lab. They do all kinds of digital forensic lab work, narcotics. I think they started, I don't know, and they do separate investigations as well. But,
Yeah.
And, a lot of times you had no idea about the case except what kind of synopsis you got. You're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
this guy did bad thing A. All right, there's your whole description of the case. And
Yeah.
you're trying to find information around that. That's got to be challenging.
Yeah. Well, one time I got a case in, they just said it was just like pretty much the warrant and maybe a description or whatever. So I called up the investigator. What are you looking for? Like, what specific things should I be? Like, we're just looking for evidence of theft. What?
Give me everything.
Just theft. Okay. Like, just find me theft. And so I just did a keyword for theft, No, just just like, man.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Yeah, exactly. So Brett said, if the examiner knows the case, the odds of finding relevant evidence is 10x improved. Yeah. And that was kind of my thing with, like, I feel like I did a good job. So, but how much better could Kevin do knowing everything that goes around it, and that's where, if with our powers combined, you can create the forensic Captain Planet of, what needs to happen. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. It's education, and it's clearly a two-way street with this.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to give you everything that I need from that case. And everything I know about the case as much as I can that may, because there may be, they may be looking for a specific, I'll use your theft example, a theft example, but you may have, the investigator may know relevant information about theft. And if you don't know that, it's like you may never find it,
Right.
because, keyword theft is just not going to do it in that case. You're going to need that specialized information. And that's where it's hard, is that communication breakdown between the two investigators.
Right.
And I think, as you said, the best way, and I see it too, I'm still stunned that agencies haven't seen it yet either, is, it has to be a cloud-based solution at this point. Whether it's a Bitmine's cloud or whatever cloud that you want. But there has to be a cloud, and then that software, that collaborative working software, like Xero's tool, whatever tool, to help get that accomplished. Holy crap. Is it 3?
We got, 1 minute till.
What the heck? We got talking here. I'm just going to kind of go through the chat. If you guys have questions for Justin, hopefully you don't have to leave right at 3, because there might be questions.
No, I'm good.
And then, if not,
yeah, whatever. I'm good now. So
yeah, see ya.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, absolutely. My dog keeps barking. I'm sorry. I forgot to shut my door. I always shut this door. And good. That's good. I was flustered because I didn't have earbuds and run around. Anyway, clues to in the box lead to clues outside the box. Absolutely. I mean, holy moly, that's a huge statement, Brett, and it's a whole nother show. that to follow up on some of the information that you find in digital evidence, is going to lead you to the real world. It always does. We were kind of specific in talking a lot of digital crimes, maybe, but when it comes to, well, like you said, the vandalisms, in the school, even a homicide, obviously that's the digital aspect is, and I think you put it best, where is we're just supporting that investigator. It's, it's to quote some authors here, is we're not the hero of this movie, right? Of this movie, we're the Yoda, right? we're the wise person trying to feed them the information to Luke here, there to add my Star Wars stuff to it. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and sometimes to that point, I had a case where all they wanted one specific thing, is the guy went on the run after they caught him, filming some stuff that he shouldn't, and they just want to know where he was going. That's it. Did he text his wife or whatever where he was going? And they found him at the Grand Canyon. But and that was what the specific. I still remember the text message that I found that he sent to his wife his wife was, "I'm going to the last place I was ever happy." And so he didn't actually say, but the investigator was like, all right. And so he went back to the wife and said, this is what we got. He said he's going here. And she was like, well, it's either the Grand Canyon or Myrtle Beach. And
a little bit apart from one another. Myrtle Beach. Hopefully he's talking North Myrtle and not like downtown. Holy crap.
Yeah. They found him at the Grand Canyon though. So he went west.
Wise.
But anyway, so yeah, sometimes that's what you're the piece of information that's going to help them, locate somebody or whatever. Like very targeted. That was not a full thing. It was just, dump it real quick, targeted dump on the text messages. Where's he going? This. So absolutely.
100%. 100%. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody hanging out today. If you want to learn more about the portable case that Justin was referencing, again, I love the fact you don't do a commercial for the product. We just it's a serious conversation around the problem that product solves. And if you guys want to check it out, just go over to xtero.com, drop down to products and then forensics. You'll find it down there. I'm looking at it right now. Nice. And you can and read all about it if you're interested. You can reach out to Justin. Justin, what's a good way that people get a hold of you on the site, or how do you want to?
I'm on LinkedIn.
There you go. Go to LinkedIn. Stalk him there.
Yeah, that's a good place. And then, that's probably the best place. I do have a Facebook, but I don't look at it. So
I'm on Facebook just for the memes. That's really why I exist. Dad memes are the best there. That's it. That's all I care about. Memes. That's for sure. I'm at that age now where I'm like, oh, that's funny. I love it. It's the worst joke ever. I'm using it and reposting it.
Absolutely.
I'm now that annoying person. So have at it. Anyway, Justin, hang out for just a minute. Thanks so much. Thanks everybody else for hanging out. If you got any questions, Dan, for him, again, reach out. Until then, we will see you guys next week. Thanks again, Justin.
Yep.